Hello and welcome to The Slice, TelecomTV's coverage of MWC Barcelona and all things 5G. I'm Guy Daniels, Director of Content, and this is our preview show for the 2023 event. As part of our Spotlight on 5G series, we'll be broadcasting a slice of the major news during each day of MWC, Monday through to Thursday. Plus, we'll be returning the following week for a special edition of the live after show, once the Barcelona dust has settled and we've all made it safely back home. Well, all those who will be actually travelling to Barcelona, that is, because some of us have to stay at home and are not allowed out of the studio. Shocker. So today we are going to look ahead and discuss what we are likely to see and hear at MWC and basically get a little excited about the event. And already getting a teeny bit excited is my colleague Rayla Maistre, editorial director here at TelecomTV, who has his bags packed, taxi booked, and has even topped up his tan down the local salon. Ray, looking forward to a chilled week in the sun?
Well, as you can see, Guy, the salon was unable to do anything with my pasty complexion, but a few days in the late February Catalan sun and some quadruple espressos will do me the world of good. And I'm looking forward to getting face to face with old friends and new contacts on the show floor and in the tapas bars. Bring on Barcelona.
Yeah, well, you've been good company over there because I hear they're expecting quite a few visitors this year. And 4 of those attendees are joining us on the programme today, and I think that's a statistically valid representative sample. So let me introduce our good friends. Richard Band, who is Head of Mobile Core and 5G with the Communications Technology Group of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Stephen Spellacy, Vice President of Service Provider Marketing, Enablement and Business Development at VMware. Patrick Kelly, Founder, Partner and Principal Analyst with Appledore Research. And Gilles Garcia, Senior Director, Business Lead, Data Center and Communications Group at AMD. Hello everyone, good to see you again, and I can feel the MWC excitement radiating from you all. Now, Ray and I have identified a few of the key areas that we are hoping will feature prominently next week, and the first one of these being energy efficiency.
Yep, absolutely. We expect energy efficiency and how network operators are able to control their power usage as they densify 5G and handle more and more data traffic. We think this is going to be a big theme at MWC, but does everybody think that way? Is this going to be a really hot topic? Gilles, let's come to you first to find out.
Yeah, definitely. Again, with what's happening in the world and in Europe, that means energy is becoming even more important every day. And so the price, we are all feeling the price increase on the energy at the personal level and at enterprise level. So definitely this will be a big subject. And as an AMD, we are a technology platform company. So our goal in life is always to deliver the technology platforms that will be power efficient, performance and power efficient, in order to make sure that the 5G deployment will be able to scale at the right energy consumptions and to even work on new technology that will reduce the overall power envelope required for the 5G deployment. And we can talk about what has been announced recently on the 4th generation of our EPIC processor that is consuming up to 40% less than the previous generation for the vRAN 5G core, DUCU environment, as well as the technology devices that we have on the radios that are almost a complete ASIC, 80% ASIC and 20% programmable logic that are very power efficient and performance to reach the performance and the power that operators are looking for in the radios. There is still a lot of work to do, nevertheless, to even improve the efficiency on the 5G deployment. And again, software will be a way to help it as well. AI, ML. So I'm expecting that at Mobile World Congress, all those ingredients will make a lot of buzz in the corridors, in the aisle, and in the booth. And by the way, welcome to the MD booth.
Okay, excellent, Gilles. Thanks very much. Any other thoughts on energy efficiency at all? Is this going to be a big theme at MWC for anybody else? Otherwise, we can move straight on. Yeah, Stephen, let's come to you.
I think it's absolutely going to be top of mind. I mean, if we want to achieve what the promise of 5G will actually unleash from an opportunity perspective, it's going to require expansion. I mean, there are analysts and news reporting that in order to achieve the kind of scale that's required for 5G, we're looking at potentially up to 170% increase by 2026 in energy consumption. So, it comes with the territory in order to achieve on the vision. One of the things that we're working with on our customers is they're adopting technology like virtualization to be able to reduce the amount of impact on the data center itself. We've been able to reduce roughly 1.2 billion megatons of CO2 emissions using our technologies and features. So this is a really great opportunity to use a tool from the tool chest that can really reduce that impact as they grow their network.
And Patrick, is this a topic that's cropping up a lot in the conversations you're having with Appledore's clients?
It is, Ray. One of the other areas I think is interesting is RF channel switching, which is still early days. But if you look at these large antenna arrays, one of the things that is being applied, and this goes to Jill's point, is AI. So the ability to actually take some of these channels where you have peak times, when that peak load falls, particularly late at night or early in the morning, you basically can turn down those RF channels maybe from 60, 70, 80% down to 20%. And that has a big impact on energy consumption.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just even in the couple of weeks leading up to this Barcelona show, we've been hearing an awful lot more about this topic. Is bound to be a critical discussion point during the 4 days in Barcelona. Now, of course, MWC is not just about technology updates, business meetings, briefings and announcements. It's also the main annual gathering of the industry, and that means a healthy amount of after-hours networking, my favorite part of the week. Are any of you veterans of the early CAN days, though, the old version of MWC, when it was evening soirees along the Croisette? Gilles, I expect that you were probably in attendance back in those days. Would I be correct?
Yeah, and I'm lucky. I'm living 5 miles away from the CAN or former CAN, CAN MWC. But I'm denying any evenings, any drinks. At that time, I was only here to work with the customers, and so everything was nice. But what is surprising is that the event, the show floor, was surrounded by the harbor of Cannes, and so I did not know why, but a lot of yachts were there and a lot of lights on the yacht with a lot of drinks. But again, I was not there, or not on those yachts, so I cannot comment on that.
So you were never whisked out to sea with some of us who wondered why all of a sudden we thought it was just the alcohol making things rock, but it turned out that the boat had gone out and we were trapped at sea for a nice 6-hour presentation and briefing. Happened to us all once, but only once. And Patrick, I think going back in the days, you were at the CAN events as well. Is that right?
I was, Ray. So there was one event, late night event, where we got out late and there were no cabs to be had. So that made it a challenge to get back to our hotel in Nice.
Yes, not exactly right next door to Cannes, but if it's late at night, then that's that walk might seem a little shorter than it might during the daylight hours. Okay, well, it's Barcelona, I think, for about the 15th year or something crazy like that, even more. So, we're all very familiar with the evening eateries and drinking holes of that city. But Guy, I think you were actually at the first CAN event, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, Ray, yeah, and I think it was 1996. although I never got to the pre-CAN events. Now that is a select club. If anyone's been to Madrid and the places where I went to before, for those few years before. Now, if anyone is interested in those early shows, Ray and I made a series of programs a few years back that mined our video archives, and they are well worth watching. We'll add a link below this video. Well, look, we've looked at energy efficiency, but one of our other top topics here on Telecom TV, I guess a lot of interest from the viewers, is Open RAN. And specifically, we're going to be interested in seeing if the industry believes it has missed the 5G rollout phase, because there's a lot of talk about this at the moment, about how growth may have to wait until we define the next cellular standards. Any thoughts on what the Open RAN conversation may cover at MWC this year? Stephen, perhaps I could come to you for some thoughts on what you're expecting to hear.
Well, it's one of the items that, again, is top of mind with the customers that we're working with in the telco space. The short answer is Open RAN is progressing. We're seeing trials, POCs, we're seeing POCs out there where customers are experimenting with the technology. I think it's a crawl, walk, run. There's lots of questions that need to be answered. But many vocal tier one service providers are out there who are early movers in the 5G network. They're still rolling out their projects that are related to Open RAN. And, when you look back in time, we went through a similar kind of effort around this concept of disaggregation related to the core network. And those things happened over many years, and eventually we got to more of a horizontal, homogeneous style of deployment technology, which brought flexibility, choice, economic freedom, also technology innovation. Now, as customers are looking to go on this journey to Open RAN, they're moving from the traditional approach, which they've known for many years, trusted. They're moving to a more flexible, software-defined virtual RAN, and then eventually to Cloud RAN and Open RAN. It's not going to happen overnight. And also, it's not just going to happen at the baseband. These are going to enable great new use cases, but there's intelligence that's being brought to the table. And one of the areas that we're seeing the most excitement around, and what we should be seeing a lot at the show, especially within the VMware booth, is the RAN intelligent controller. It's more than just a concept for the RAN. CSPs are actually looking to leverage this network intelligence to take their legacy environments as well as their future evolution of the RAN as they transform how they deliver 5G at scale.
Yeah, thanks very much, Stephen. The RIC is proving very popular at the moment. And in fact, Ray focuses on the RIC in episode 2 of the Open RAN show here on Telecom TV. Richard, what about you? What are you expecting to see and hear about Open RAN at MWC?
Yeah, I definitely expect still a lot of conversation on this, but I would say that, to add to what Stephen was saying, I think that the discussion about Open RAN, just Open RAN by itself, is not the core of the conversation. I think fundamentally we're talking about disaggregation. Open RAN is a component of that, but there are other things that are happening already and have been happening at scale in a number of operators around the world. So I think it's a reality. Back to your original question. Of course, it will continue to evolve. The ecosystem will develop. We will become more sophisticated in this. Automation of the network is going to be key. So the automation of the deployment, but the automation even of the life cycle itself and the day-to-day, coming back to the energy efficiency we spoke about before, that requires a far more dynamic management of the network. And I think disaggregation, softwarization, and then eventually Open RAN is going to play a key role in this. It's already happening, and I expect a lot of additional conversation in Mobile World Congress on this topic.
Good to hear. Thanks very much, Richard. And Gilles, what about you? What are you hoping to see or hear at MWC on Open RAN?
So I just wanted to put in perspective the 5G deployment. The initial question is, the 5G deployment really started late or 2018, kind of 2019, and we are still counting the number of standalone 5G networks that are really in flight and completely deployed. And so for me, the Open RAN is part of this journey that will probably take another 7 years for the 5G, and then we'll see the 6G. But the Open RAN is part of this journey and has not missed the first phase, which was a non-standalone networks, and is now emerging as part of the standalone deployment. So, of course, I think that we are all saying that we will have expected to see it probably a stronger start. But like I heard that in operators that were committed to it are still committed to it, and we are seeing more and more people that have moved to the disaggregation with the vRAN on their core first, moving then also to the disaggregation of the CUDU, and then the ORAN will be the next phase.
Yeah, thanks very much, Gilles. And I think one of the problems is we've all become rather impatient as a society, perhaps, and we want things now. We're not prepared to wait. We have unrealistic expectations of timescales at times. Well, thanks very much for those comments. Let's see what happens next week. And aside from the telecoms news, we're really interested to find out what you're most looking forward to in Barcelona. You know, anyone going to have time for a spot of sightseeing? Richard, are you getting in early with the team? Are you going to have time to go around the city on the weekend before the show?
I'll be in early. Not so certain about being able to spend some time sightseeing. We'll have the first meetings on the Sunday morning, and then the Sunday afternoon is fully booked, and then it just becomes a roller coaster. So I'll be very, very happy when it's Wednesday evening and I can relax a little bit. Maybe find a little bit of time on the first day to go around, but don't think much before that.
Yeah, it's all work, isn't it? Is it the same for all of you? Anyone looking forward to anything special in Barcelona? Anything a bit different, or is it a case of, well, we've been there before. We've all spent too long in Barcelona now. Because I think Stephen, please.
I'll say the old classics are always fun. La Sagrada Familia would be a great opportunity maybe on the first day. But the dance card is completely full, both in the days, even Sunday, we've got a packed agenda at VMware, and then into the evening, we got a customer party, and then parties all throughout the evenings all week, and packed with meetings all day. So it's going to be really tough to ply away from the conference center.
Thanks, Stephen. And Gilles, I know you're not one for parties. We know we've cleared that up there. No parties, all work. Will you have time for anything else in Barcelona next week?
So my goal this year is to get out of the hall where the AMD booth here and to visit at least one other hall. Because, again, I think that we are all in the same situation with crazy agendas, crazy days and crazy evening. But I'm committing myself to visit at least another hall where I can meet people in their booth and not only stay in the AMD booth.
Gilles, that's wishful thinking. We all think the same, don't we? We all think we can go around and visit the show, but so often we just can't. But Patrick, you must be packing a pair of sturdy shoes to walk the halls of MWC.
Yeah, we do a lot of planning, Guy. So we've got 6 analysts that'll be on the show floor. We got well over 100 meetings during the week, and I think it's a great time to connect with colleagues and friends. It's really the one super event during the year that you have a chance to see some of the folks that are either clients or colleagues or friends. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're right about that. Absolutely. Thanks, Patrick. And Ray, I'm thinking tapas must be quite close to the top of your wish list.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's high on many people's agendas and go-tos. But there is some amazing local food to be had in Barcelona, especially once you get away from the tourist traps. Though it has to be said that the old town, only minutes from La Rambla, has some incredible hole-in-the-wall tapas and vino haunts. And for me, a dry Spanish white with some manchego cheese is a great way to start any evening. Right, let's see if I can stop drooling and get on with the next more serious topic. And our next hot topic on our list for discussion today is cloud native 5G. I mean, is the 5G standalone core going to be the key to fulfilling business services potential? I mean, we've already seen a number of 5G SA announcements recently. Richard, I mean, are we still yet to see the big benefits of 5G as standalone core platforms get deployed?
Yeah, I believe so. I think you would almost call out the classical hype cycle, right? So there was a lot of noise a couple of years back. Things gone a bit more quiet. We've been quietly working away at actually deploying these networks, which is not trivial. And we're getting now to the point where they're coming on live. And so I think now we need to start showing the benefits of the standalone. I truly believe they are coming. I'm also expecting still some advances in the devices, particularly around URLCC. But in order to really go beyond just yet another faster eMBB for consumers, the standalone is critical. We don't talk about slicing that much anymore. Again, one of those things that has gone through the hype cycle, but I'm starting to see the interest now and the use cases coming now. So I do believe we'll see the progress there in the next 1 or 2 years in actually translating the potential into real benefits for society at large.
Yeah, and we are starting to see these deployments sort of creep along, but also hear from the operators that this is, like you said, quite a difficult thing to do. A lot of spectrum management issues involved here to get these standalone core platforms up and running. And I mean, maybe come 2024, Barcelona will be able to hear a lot more about the real life enterprise use cases that these systems can deliver. Now, of course, as already mentioned, Barcelona is a foodie paradise as well. Anybody got any top tips for food and drink for those visiting Barcelona for the first time, whether that's during the day, God forbid, or venturing further afield in the evening? Any favourite haunts? Gilles, we've already established that you struggled to even get away from the booth for a couple of minutes, but once you do let loose, any regular haunts?
So I don't have a favorite restaurant there. And so my name, Garcia, is a Spanish name. So again, I have roots in Andalusia. So for me, my favorite one is always the paella from Valencia. And in the Rambla, there are a few, in some small roads that are nearby the Rambla, there are a few restaurants that are serving delicious paella from Valencia. So I will recommend these as my favorite dish. Okay,
excellent selection. Yeah, and Barcelona is a great place, second to Valencia, I would say, to get that particular dish. Richard, any favorite for you?
Listen, for food and drinks, it's all plenty of options, and everybody knows the jamon, etc., etc. The thing I wanted to just highlight here or mention to everybody is I personally like the Olympic ports. There's a couple of bars and the Shisha bar that I really enjoyed in the past year. So I personally look forward to doing that again with a number of my old and current colleagues.
Okay, excellent. Yes, and of course, like you say, this is a great chance as well to catch up with some of the people you work with during the year, but might not necessarily get to see so much. But Guy, like you mentioned, back in the studio, maybe not so much networking for you?
No, sorry, Ray. I'm going to join the many others who won't be travelling to Barcelona, the silent majority, the upset majority, and instead will be watching online. And contractual obligation plug coming up. What better way than to tune in each day at 4 p.m. UK time for a fresh edition of The Slice right here on TelecomTV. All your news every day. Plus, we'll be live streaming events for some of our partners as well. But first, plug over. One more topic to discuss, and that's private 5G networks. And we are hoping to hear quite a lot about this at the event. And the question we're really hoping we'll get answers on is it going to spread beyond the early adopters anytime soon? It's a problem we're hearing, but might we hear more about private 5G and the path to more substantial commercial deployments? Patrick, what is it that you and your team of analysts are hoping to hear about private networks?
Yeah, Guy, I think the dialogue needs to be more about the business case, less about the technology. So how do you get better, faster, cheaper outcomes? Last month I was at CES, so had a chance to kind of meet with some of the bigger enterprise customers. So I met with Caterpillar and John Deere. They're both strong proponents of using technology to improve their manufacturing efficiency and look at downstream markets. So if you take Caterpillar, one of the things they were showing at CES was their 100-ton payload autonomous truck, which is they have about 550 being used around the globe for their mining customers. And so I think there's an opportunity there for private networks on the, in terms of the end market. On the other hand, I had a chance to meet with John Deere, and I think most of you know they acquired Spectrum a few years ago in 5 counties in Iowa for their manufacturing plants. But the folks that I talked to there, they really didn't see the business case for moving to 5G or even private wireless networks at this point, because you've got the whole swap out, you get the increased costs, and then you have the whole ecosystem. Do you have the right sort of technology partners, the system integrators, to help get you there? And I think that's the fundamental issue the industry's struggling with right now.
Yeah, thanks very much, Patrick. Let's get the conversation to the business cases and move it on constructively. Richard, what about you? What are you hoping to hear in terms of private 5G networks at the event?
Well, I think first I would like to echo what Patrick was saying. It's we need to move beyond the technology, and we need to keep in mind that while we as an industry love the 5G because of all the technology innovation that's coming there, that's not why we're having the conversation with the enterprise. They are coming from a different place. They have things they need to do, increase demand for connectivity, and they're looking for the most efficient way of solving that. And sometimes that's private cellular, sometimes that's other technologies like Wi-Fi. And I think we need to be paying a little bit more attention to that, and we need to look for, first, better understand what is the problem they're trying to solve, and then be honest about what's the right technology to address that problem, and figure out ways to coexist different technologies to avoid the rip and replace that Patrick was mentioning for John Deere. So I do expect to see more clarity on the use cases. I am seeing today, when I discuss with customers, there are certain industries, mining is one of them, ports is another one, energy sector in general, where there's clarity on what to do, and it's starting to become a discussion that goes beyond, do we need to do this, and it's going straight into, how do we do this the most efficiently? There are other industries where we're not quite there yet, so I'm very curious to see what others are doing in this area, and I'll be looking for those innovative use cases to see, and then to understand how we can help them realize that.
Great, thanks very much, Richard. And we too are looking for that kind of information. Stephen, let's come across to you.
Yeah, I'd say from an enterprise perspective, I mean, VMware is extremely tapped into this market. 99.9% of enterprise customers are using our technologies out there, which is, a testament to what we've been able to do in that space in the data center. And what we're seeing is a gravitation or a move from the traditional data center applications more to the edge. And I think as you see more technology moving to the edge, these use cases that Richard and Patrick mentioned are starting to emerge. And it really is the line of business which is driving the use for advanced connectivity. In manufacturing, in mining, as Richard mentioned, these are industries that thrive on connectivity in order to accomplish the goal of what they do. And those that are seeking to transform what they do in real time are going to require advanced connectivity, private 5G being an example of that. There definitely is a history of companies looking at other options, Wi-Fi, 4G even previous technologies, proprietary technologies, in order to accomplish some of these goals. I think at the end of the day, it does really matter what the use case is and also what the business goal is. If it's requiring the lowest of latency and processing at the edge and need for a fast network, need for ultra reliable low latency communications, private 5G is going to be a fit. And on the flip side of this, we're also seeing not only enterprises pushing for these solutions, but also MSPs and SIs who are coming to us and saying, how can you help us accelerate the path to this market and also reduce the friction from an IT perspective? Because the operators of these networks are going to have different skill sets, backgrounds. Technology foundations are very different between something like a wireless versus cellular technology. And there's a big delta and gap in the IT discipline and understanding these technologies. That's why it's incumbent upon vendors like ourselves here at the table to bring tech that's easy to use, easy to deploy, and easy to manage from an ongoing basis.
Yeah, thanks very much, Stephen. And Gilles, what about you? Are you agreeing with what your colleagues on this program are saying, or are you expecting to hear something different at MWC?
No, I think I just wanted to complement that. I'm expecting to start seeing at Mobile World Congress what we will call a network on a box, because I think that to go deeper into the enterprise, and not only on the main or large enterprise, but to touch the small and medium business, especially the medium business, some different approaches will have to be required from an equipment perspective. And we have been seeing, and we have been working with companies that are bringing a kind of 5G network on a box, where you just have to put it in a place. And if you have just a manufacturing site, you can suddenly enjoy a 5G connectivity, and so improve productivity, drive different line of business within your enterprise. And so I'm expecting that this Mobile World Congress will start more and more those type of equipments coming. Of course, it will take a few years because, like my colleagues mentioned, use cases are driving the deployment here. But again, I think that from an equipment perspective, we'll also start seeing some more tailored for 5G private networks, 5G equipment.
Thank you, Gilles. Yeah, I do recall seeing a couple of announcements around network in a box solutions at last year's event, so it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. Richard, let's come quickly back over to you.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to extend an invitation to Gilles. If he does make it out of the AMD booth, please come over to our booth in Hall 3 and I'll have a network in a box for you to show.
Excellent. Here we are, facilitating introductions real time on TelecomTV. Thanks everyone for those comments on private 5G, and we're going to hear more about that on TelecomTV end of March during our next summit, which is on private 5G and the edge. Now, we've covered top tips for food and drink, but we can't overlook the parties. So I wonder who's got the best evening invite so far. And I'm going to start by putting Ray on the spot. Come on, Ray, make me grin with envy.
Well, it might not be polite for me to pick one over the other, but you know, the Etsy gathering is always a great occasion, always really well attended. So I'm looking forward to that. But I should point out that other social events are also available. But Patrick, you mentioned that you're very busy from the moment you land the whole way through the week. You know, is there a particular evening that you're looking forward to, or you know, you're going to be rubbing shoulders with Elton John or the king of some European country anywhere?
Ray, my dance card is pretty full. And so we're meeting again with a lot of our clients at evening events, and no parties, mostly dinner engagements.
The party day, are the party days over? Is Diana Ross not on a boat somewhere? What's going on? This is
party days are over for me.
It's party before dinner and party after dinner. I think that's likely what happens.
Right. Wow, Guy, I feel a new campaign for TelecomTV coming back. The return of the glory days of the late 1990s, when we had Bo Diddley and all sorts of people appearing at these major trade shows. So, I mean, you know, talk of these parties and dinners, everything, is this enough to tempt you back to Barcelona next year, Guy?
Yeah, well, maybe, Ray, maybe one final fling, eh? I must admit, I am getting just a tinge of MWC envy. Maybe someone will set up a Zoom party, or better still, we could have one of these watch parties, and it'd be like pressing our noses up against the glass of the window and watching all the fun that's going on inside whilst you're stuck outside in the snow.
We'll see if we could arrange that for you, Guy. Well, before we go, you know, I wonder if we've missed any other key themes. I mean, we've only had time to talk in detail about 4 today, but I'm sure there's many others. So very briefly, maybe 30 seconds maximum, are there any other major themes that you expect to see covered at MWC? Stephen, let's start with you.
I'm looking to hear more about what the vendor landscape has to do about service management and orchestration. I think this is an exciting area. It's an essential area to be solved as we move forward with the evolution of 5G and beyond.
Okay, excellent. Let's come up the stack here to Richard. Richard, any other key themes you're expecting at MWC23?
I'm coming fairly open-minded. Actually, if I get a chance to get away from the booth, I will go and hunt for people that are not telco that are also at Mobile World Congress. I found over the past years the the number of people that are from outside of the traditional telco industry joining, there's lots of interesting stuff happening there. So if I get a chance, I'll go for that.
Okay, and that's a good tip. And like you said, a lot of different industries coming in, of course, and being part of the what used to be just the traditional telecom sector. Patrick, anything else that you think is going to be big at this year's show?
Ray, I think this is the long view. This is sort of the 10-year out view, but certainly the metaverse, Web 3.0, extended reality is something I think you'll see on the show floor. Some prototypes. Obviously, 6G, there's already been discussions around 6G and the implications there. But again, we're kind of looking out to 2032, probably at the earliest. Closer to home, I think, our focus is around telecom network automation. So I think the whole idea behind what's happening with orchestration and network controllers, optical controllers, SDN controllers, and that linkage back to telemetry data coming up and supporting automated assurance. Certainly we'll see a lot with the suppliers in that whole ecosystem. So those are the things that we're on the lookout for.
Okay, excellent. I think Guy is looking for an acceleration in metaverse development so he can go to MWC without actually going. I think that's his goal for 2025 at the earliest. And finally, Gilles, let's come to you. Any hot topics that we haven't discussed today that you're expecting to hear next week?
So again, with the four of us, I think that we are a small part of the ecosystem, of the RAN ecosystem. And so I'm expecting as well the RAN ecosystem to be a big buzz at Mobile World Congress, and how the different players are working together and how they are progressing, what new alliance or new cooperations will bring innovations in all the aspect of what we discussed. So I think that will be a great interest for me as well, that we should look for at Mobile World Congress. And by the way, you are all invited to a party that AMD is bringing on Tuesday at 5 p.m. So we will have more than water, but I will drink water, but we'll have more than water if you are looking for. So 5 p.m. on the AMD booth, all 2 M61.
There we go. It's an open invitation. Expect some pretty big crowds there, Gilles. So fantastic. Thanks so much, everybody. Well, I think that's set us up very nicely for the week ahead, Guy.
Yeah, it certainly has. Thanks, Ray. And thank you to all of our guests for taking part in our MWC preview show. A reminder that the next edition of The Slice will be on Monday, the 27th of February at 4 p.m. UK time. We'll have news and analysis from day one of MWC, including a show floor report from Ray and Deputy Editor Janica Bojadzieva.
That's right. Janitz and I will be trawling the halls and bringing you the big news stories each day. So be sure to get in touch with us if you have some hot MWC23 news to share. And be sure to tune in to watch The Slice next week, Monday through to Thursday.
And don't forget our series on past MWC shows. Plus, we'll be releasing new videos throughout the week, and full details can be found on the Spotlight on 5G page on the TelecomTV website. Until Monday, safe travels, thanks for watching, and goodbye.